Ever since my second daughter was born and I got the snip, I haven't found a need for protection. But I found a used one in my wife and I's trash can, and my first thought went to her being unfaithful, and it makes me sick not knowing. So I, 43M, was taking a nap yesterday in the bedroom when I heard my daughter quietly walking in and asking me if I can give her some money so she can go out with some friends of hers. So I do that, and on her way out, I still don't know how she managed to do it, but she kicked the small bin that my wife, 43F, and I have in the bedroom. We use it to mostly throw away small things that we are too lazy to get to the trash. I was rather annoyed at getting my sleep disturbed, so I told my daughter to leave it and that I will pick it up. She walks out of the room and I carry on with my sleep. I wake up a few hours later and I notice that the bin is kicked over and that some of its contents spilt out. I start cleaning up when I notice something peculiar. In the pile of papers and napkins, I found a protection wrapper. I used protection. My wife and I don't use protection. I am pretty sure I've never used one ever since I had a vasectomy after our daughter was born. So the question is, how did this one end up here? There is the obvious answer, but I don't know. I keep thinking of different scenarios, but the thought that my wife may have been unfaithful is the first thing that pops into my head, and it's killing me. Maybe I am just paranoid and there is another explanation, but I don't know how to approach this with her. What should I do about this? How do I start this conversation? I could use some serious help over here. Update. I posted earlier this week about my issue and I honestly had no idea it will blow up this much. Also, I expect that not a lot of people that read this post would remember my previous one. I will admit that the first thing that popped into my head was that infidelity was involved, but like many of the people that commented on my previous post said, it could have also just as easily come from my 16-year-old daughter. That she is a teen and they are notorious for doing some dumb stuff. Like sleeping in your parents' bed and tossing the protection away in their trash can. It didn't sound plausible at first, mainly because I guess I am not ready to see my little girl in this light, being active and all that, even though I expect her to be. But after some time has passed and I had time to sit and think, it really would have made more sense for her to do something like this than my wife. I spent the entire next day with my wife. I posted on Tuesday, so this is happening on Wednesday. I had a completely crappy day and my mood was pretty sour. And my wonderful wife picked up on that and she literally spent the entire day trying to cheer me up. She took me out for lunch at my favorite place even though she is not really a fan of this restaurant. We played tennis together even though she doesn't like this sport. She even helped me out with a hobby of mine that I love, and while she doesn't partake in it, she never voiced any disapproval of it. In fact, she encourages it. It's those small things that she does that make me feel appreciated. They are a reminder to me that my wife really loves and cares about me. That day I realized how much of an idiot I am for even thinking that she is capable of hurting me or our family. I felt like a jerk for even considering the idea. So I told her everything. I told her about the protection and how I found it. The mixture of shock and surprise in her eyes when I told her that I found a used protection in the trash can were genuine, and that was enough for me to know she had nothing to do with it. So I told her that I am thinking that it came from our daughter. We were going back and forth when we heard our son coming into the room and saying I am sorry. I should point out that the son in question is my middle child. I have an older son that is 25, this one is 22 and my daughter is 16. My wife and I looked at Simon and asked him what he means. My son then went on to explain this story. About a month ago, my son, his brother and his brother's wife were at home while I was on a business trip, and my wife and our daughter were visiting her parents. So one evening, his brother and his sil went out for dinner and after that decided to go to a club. My oldest son and his wife took off earlier than him and came back home while he stayed for a little longer. He eventually came home, but he wasn't alone. He picked up a girl at the club and brought her home with him. My son explained that since the bed in his room is single and our guest bedroom was already occupied by his brother and sil, he found the next best thing, our bedroom. He did the deed there and tossed the stuff away in the trash can. In the morning he changed the sheets, but he forgot to empty the trash can and it remained there. I was really surprised at this, and so was my wife. I honestly expected to have this conversation with my teenage daughter and not with my adult son. My wife said something similar to him, that we should expect something as stupid as this from his sister and not from him. But in the end, we hashed things out and I'm glad we found the culprit. So my post finishes here. I want to say thank you to everyone that commented and got involved in my previous post. Your words really did help me and I am very grateful for your help. You talked me through an honestly baffling experience and pushed me in the right direction. I started off with a wrong idea, but in the end, you were right. It was indeed one of my kids. Not the one we expected, but still. Thanks for everything guys and have a great day/night. Take care.